Hey guys, welcome back to Math with Marilyn. Before we get started, make sure to grab a pencil and paper so that you can take proper notes and follow along. So our learning goal for today's topic is students will represent relations with graphs, ordered pairs, tables, and mappings. A few key vocabulary words that we reviewed as a class. Relation. A relation is any set of ordered pairs. Function is any relation where each x value or input is assigned a unique y value or output, making certain that you relate x value with the word input, and they will relate y value with output. Then also domain and range. Domain is the set of all of the x values or the inputs, again relating those key terms that kind of have the similar meanings. And then range, the set of y values or outputs. Alright, so we're going to practice a couple of these just to refresh your memory. So let's use number 1 as my example that we can work out together. So number 1, I'm just going to cover that up. All right, number 1 says rewrite the relation given the mapping diagram as a scatter point. So basically they want us to transfer the order pairs in this mapping to this graph on the coordinate plane and then determine if it's a function or not. And then I'm also going to take it a step further just to make sure we remember how to do list the domain and range. So the first thing I suggest that you do is to rewrite these ordered pairs so they actually look like ordered pairs. So remember your ordered pairs, I'm going to write over here. Ordered pairs will always have an x value, which comes first, and a y value, and it'll look like that. So we're going to rewrite these in this form. So my arrow tells me which x value, this first oval is my x and the second one is my y. So my arrow tells me which x value matches with which y. So in this case we have -1 with -2, 1 to -1, 1 also going to 0, 2 to 2, and 3 to 2. Alright, so I'm then going to take those and plot them on this coordinate plane. Remembering that in your coordinate plane, your vertical line is your y-axis, your horizontal line is your x, and we always find the x value first and then go and find the matching y to plot. So for -1, -2, I'm going to go -1 here and then down to -2. That will be my first point. Then we have +1, starting at my origin, going over to +1, and then down to -1. 1, 0, again starting at my origin, going over to 1, and my y is 0, so my point will be on the x-axis. 2, 2, again starting at my origin, going over 2 spaces, and then up to +2 for my next point. And my last point is 3, 2. Again, starting at my origin, going over 3 spaces, and then up 2. Alright, we learned that in order to determine if a relation is a function, you're only going to consider the x values. And the rule is basically that you can't have any number in the x spot that repeats itself. So I'm going to underline all of my x values and make sure that I don't have any that repeat. Well, in this case, you can see that my 1 is repeated. So that means that this is not a function because my x value repeats my 1. Okay, and then I also want to take this a step further to list my domain and range. So I'll use D and R. All right, so in my domain, remember those are all of my x values. So I'll have -1, 1, 2, and 3. Notice I didn't write the 1 twice. All you need to do is write it 1 time. And then my range, which is all of my y's, will be -2, -1, 0, and 2. All right. So those were pretty much the things that we went over. We also looked at the different ways that you can represent relations. So we use, aside from a mapping or a graph, you could also have a table, or you may even have graphs that look complicated like this. For these graphs, we said the easiest way to determine if they are functions or not is to use what we call it the vertical line test. So here's my vertical line, which you can basically place on any part of the graph. But the rule is, if at any given point your vertical line crosses the graph at more than 1 point, then it's not a function. So as you can see, here's a vertical line that I decided to use. It hit the graph at the 2 points that you see circled. So since it hit more than once, that lets me know that it's not a graph. If you wanted to test this first one, you could also use like your pencil and kind of scroll across the graph. And if at any point that pencil hits the graph at more than 1 point, then it's not a function. Well, as you can see, that's not going to happen. If you draw a vertical line on this graph, it's only going to hit at 1 point. So this is yes. All right, so quick recap. In this first example that we did together, they wanted us to plot the ordered pairs on a graph. So we rewrote our ordered pairs so they would be in the proper form, and then we plotted them on the coordinate plane. We had to determine if that relation was a function, so we went and viewed all of our x values to make sure none of them repeat themselves, and we had one that repeats, so that makes this not a function. We took it a step further and listed our domain, which is all of our x's, and our range, which is all of our y's. And then we also went over using the vertical line test. All right, so hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them below this video. Make sure you click like and share, and we will see you next time with Math with Marilyn.